guys, we're looking at the issue of money, how we're godly with our finances, and how it links in with our faith. Just want to talk a bit about tithing. Obviously, we're familiar with the word, but for anyone who isn't aware what it means, how would you define tithing?
Define it as giving back to God what is God's, basically. Like, come to the understanding that everything you have is God's.
Okay.
And the principle is that He only asks for 10% back of what is already His, what He's allowed you to kind of have. And so you're basically just giving Him back what He already has, basically. It's a weird principle, yeah.
So it's an Old Testament principle, isn't it? That we see that they give a tenth, I think, is from the tribes of Israel. So is it still relevant today that we give 10%, that we tithe? You could say that since Jesus has come, He's fulfilled the law, that stuff's no longer necessary. We don't need to give.
But if you look at all of the instances of giving in the New Testament, all of them are well above 10%.
Right.
The disciples gave up all that they had and followed Jesus. The widow in the temple, when she was giving her 2 coins, she gave 100%, everything that she had. Zacchaeus, the tax collector, he gave half of his possessions to the poor, and you could go on. So all of the examples in the New Testament go way above 10%. Yeah. And I agree with Justin here that 10% is not the issue, it's 100%. That's the issue. And I think when you realise that everything belongs to God, all of it belongs to Him, then you're just returning to God what belongs to Him anyway. Yeah. And that's an acknowledgement that He is the owner and He will provide for you.
That's really good. Yeah. So it's not about necessarily being religious with the actual amount. It's coming back to the heart, isn't it? And like you both said, the fact that God owns everything and He's generously given it to us, and out of that we want to give.
Yeah. And it's a deed of worship to give back to God. Yeah. And I think 10% is a good place to start.
Yeah.
But I don't get hung up on it.
Okay.
If you can't give 10%, you can't give it. But I think you should start somewhere and ask God to help you to become more generous.
Yeah.
So don't make a big deal of it. But I think God wants us to grow in generosity.
Yeah.
So to continue to give more and more and more.
So what's the real purpose of tithing?
I think, like Peter said, it's worship. It's an act of worship. It's a way of a starting point of growing in generosity. I mean, so many times the act of giving for people can be difficult, can be hard. But I've, put in so many hours. I've done so much to get what I have. Then giving that up, can sometimes be a really big sacrifice for people. But if you understand, the principle is that God already owns everything. And so as worship to Him, I'm giving of the abundance of what not only He's given me, but what He's allowed me to have. Then that platform of, okay, I understand now that giving is just a part of the life that I've chosen when I said I'd follow Christ, It's an overflow of that.
Yeah, and I think it's working in God's economy. It's the way He works financially. So when you're giving your tithe, you're moving in that area. So it's like working God's way rather than my way of working out how I do things, because God is a provider, and as you say, Justin was saying, He owns it. All belongs to Him anyway. It's like when you're tithing, you know that you're working in a way that God's going to provide for you.
Yeah, and I think it's a step of faith, acknowledging just that.
Yeah.
That God will provide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing to experience God's provision in your life when it is, it might be unexpected or it comes in different ways. And that's on the receiving end. We talked about giving before, but it's very humbling when people when you get given things. But I know that it's God. It's from God, because He's the one who provides and looks after us.
That's great. I guess that reminds us as well the need to give to others, because we're so blessed when we receive, and that actually God can use us to bless others and to be that provision, isn't it?
Yes,
it's not always God's going to do it supernaturally, which He can and does, but often he likes to use us as the body as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it's I'm kind of working and practicing the principle, if you like. If there's a need and you know that you can meet it, then you can be Jesus to that person right there. If you can't, then there's no pressure to do that. But if you can, then why not meet that need financially or otherwise?
Acts 2, we see this beautiful picture, don't we, of the church, the early church, sharing everything they have in common. It's a beautiful picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that realistic today? Can we do that?
Well, I think that was a first manifestation of the coming kingdom of God in all its force. And I think it ought to be today, because I think something which ought to characterize the church, I think, is that we look after one another. And if one has a need, another in the church should be able to provide for it. We're too dependent upon the government these days. I think our social circles, our family, and then our church, and even then a business, should be looking after these needs rather than the government. And so this idea of community, of one meeting the needs of another, is so very important. It starts in the family, then it permeates into the church, and then into our other wider communities. So I think the more we practice this, the less we will depend upon government handouts.
Thank you so much for checking out the Your Money Counts video podcast. If you want more information, please go to the website yourmoneycounts.org.